In today's video, I want to take a moment to quickly talk to you about what we can actually do with Arkham Intelligence so that those of you who still don't fully grasp or understand the true volume and scale of operations that the pool currently has within PancakeSwap, which is a part of the Bitnest protocol, can see it represented graphically, because that's exactly where you get a completely different, much deeper understanding and above all, a broader, more comprehensive perspective. The first thing I encourage you to do is, on your own, when you go into your token pocket and check your history, you'll see that you've received Tether. But what's important is to take note of where you received it from. So copy this address and paste these addresses into a document or any notepad, just like I'm doing. This corresponds to something I've already identified and labeled as the business proxy. We'll soon understand what that is. The other important address we need to keep in mind is the Bitnest pool within PancakeSwap. How do we get it? We go to pancakeswap.finance. Once inside pancakeswap.finance, we navigate to the Earn menu and then select Farm Liquid. Once we're in there, we proceed with the process. Thank you for your attention. We filter, since we're only interested specifically in the Binance Smart Chain, and by filtering by token, we choose Tether and we also choose USDT, which is the pool we want to find. Once we've filtered by Tether and USDT, we filter here by TVL, and here we already see the 20 million. This is the Bitness pool within PancakeSwap. So we copy this address from up here, take it to our notepad and paste it here. So keep in mind that from 0x92 to 3121, that's the value we have up here. Remember, this address is unique to this pool, so double check it carefully. You can see it and it's identical. That's why I encourage you to do this yourself at home. It will take you 3 to 10 minutes, but it will allow you to get the information directly from the source without relying on a third party. This is the Bitness smart contract with which everything was created. So now we have these two important values. Now let's go to Arkham Intelligence, and here inside Arkham Intelligence, you can access it with your email account. I encourage you to use an email account that is not your main one. In another video, I'll explain why. Arkham Intelligence is the FBI's most effective tool for tracking your crypto liquidity, so be very careful how you use it. This is a very, very good tool that allows us to access a lot of information, but we're also giving a lot of information to the Arkham Hub. There's a conspiracy theory that says Arkham Intelligence was created by the CIA and the FBI to monitor what people are doing with their liquidity. Anyway, once inside, in the top menu, you'll find labels. So I created a label called Fitness, and inside that label, I already created a PancakeSwap pool that ends in 3121, as I showed you here. It ends in 3121. Yes, this is the Bitness pool within PancakeSwap. Now here we can add other labels that are extremely important, like this one, which is the proxy. And what is the proxy? The proxy is where we receive all the deposits from. So as I'll show you here, inside your token pocket wallet or whatever wallet you're using, in the history, you'll see that the from address is the one sending you funds every time you receive a commission, or when your smart contract closes your Bitness loop with your capital plus the profit, you'll receive it from this proxy. So the proxy is like the one in charge of completing the task, the instruction given by the smart contract, and sending it directly to your wallet automatically once your Bitness loop time is up, or when your business saving is completed, or if it gets canceled, the business proxy will automatically send it to your wallet. So that's what this proxy does. The proxy will always be the one in charge, receiving the instruction from the smart contract and sending it to our wallet, the one we use to open the product we have within Bitness. So here, I note that this is the Bitness proxy, and here I paste the wallet address, which is the one I just copied, and I paste it here. Now I'm going to add a third label, which is the smart contract. In other words, this is the smart contract for Bitness. So here I label it as Bitness smart contract. What are these labels for? They're so that when we visualize, we can see things graphically, and these are the three most important pieces of data for a proper visualization. So here I tell it to save the changes, and I'm going to work with these three. You'll notice that here in Bitnest, it already shows me what's in the pool, the total value, what's in the USDC pool versus USDT within Pancake. There's a slight delay, not a big one, due to transactions that are in transit. This refreshes in real time, but there is some latency compared to what Aryan is reading. It's not reading everything in real time. But here we can see that this is the Pancake Swap router, the Bitness router, and so with this information, we can go and visualize everything. And this is where we start to see graphically the volume of what this platform is doing. So I can do the following. I can take the Pancake Swap pool, which is the most important one, and I paste it here. And by pasting it, I can automatically bring in the tags or private labels that I had previously created and assigned to different elements. So now what I do is take my Pancake Swap, which is one of the decentralized exchanges I am working with, and drag it over to this side of the interface to make it easier for me to organize and visualize. And if I zoom in here, you will notice that the tags I created now appear clearly visible and attached to the relevant nodes. So at this point, I start making some observations and taking note of what I see. Notice the volume of operations. Each of these threads or lines that you see here on the screen represents real-time transactions that are happening between PancakeSwap, the business pool, and in addition, what is important for you to see is that here, where the business pool and the business proxy are located, it is not just us regular users who are connecting and interacting. That is why I want to show you this particular view here, because visually it is really cool and informative to see how these connections are established. So what I'm going to do now is ask the Arkham Intelligence visualizer to remove everything that does not have a category. And now, as you can see, the graph clears up and becomes much easier to interpret. Now we can see here who else is interacting with this BitMEX proxy. Here we see decentralized exchanges like Todo, Visual, NomiSwap, Uniswap, and wallets like the Widget wallet. This is OpenSea, which is a well-known NFT marketplace. Okay, this is OKX's Web3 platform. This is FSD Swap, and here we have another one called Orbs, as well as Rango Exchange, and so on. So in this way, you can take a moment and review here. Well, I want to see only the centralized exchanges with which it is being connected and interacting, and filter out the rest for a clearer analysis. And we realize that at this moment, the only one is OpenSea. I can say, well, show me the decentralized ones too, and there are the ones we just saw. This one is new. I hadn't seen it before. Baby Swap. There are all the lending protocols. There are days when I've seen connections to Beefy Finance, to Aave, and all of this is being recreated or visualized in real time. And here I can tell it to show me everything. And again, we see the great confluence of actors participating in this. So I wanted to make this short video so you have the tools to go see and analyze everything you want in this graphical way. You can see the transaction volume. Look, there are transactions of a few dollars, hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. I've seen transactions of millions of dollars. That's where you understand the enormous connection between PancakeSwap and Bitnest using this proxy. And something else that's extremely important and that we need to clarify quickly, if you take a calculator and enter this value, 22,259,325 minus what's currently in the pool, which is 20,650,000, 20,650,023. This 1,609,000 is what must be in loans that have been taken out using Bitcoin or Ethereum as collateral, and the rest is here. So for those wondering where the money comes from, the bulk, the vast majority of what Bitnest produces is done here in PancakeSwap, and we see how this Bitnest proxy is used by many entities. This is also connected to Binance, OKX, Qcoin to this proxy. So it's something that's already proven to work. Not only are we, the Bitnest investors, trusting in this proxy and this protocol, but there are also exchanges from the, thank you, scale and size of Uniswap, Dodo, Bswap, who are using the same strategy as we are. Even though we are small investors, we are smart investors who found this information and are taking advantage of it. So I don't want to go on any longer. Remember, get your addresses on a in a notepad or any text tool. You do it yourself. And here I have some more information for you. For example, if you want, this is what I did here. This is the contract for the Tether token on the Binance Smart Chain. So you can come here to Arkham Intelligence and just paste the Tether token on the Binance Smart Chain. Here, it already filters the transactions being made in Tether, which are the vast majority of the 50. Here, I already have the Tether filter. Look, Tether is there. And I can also apply the filter for USDC, which is this one. And in this way, I can see that the vast majority of all this volume is done with USDC and USDT, and I can visually filter everything they're telling me. You notice that when USDC came in, Bybit appeared here, Binance, this is Bitget, you see. So this gets even more interesting because we realize there are both centralized and decentralized exchanges. When I filter here, look how interesting. If I drag this way to PancakeSwap, I start to see the connections visually. Thank you. Of how they're interconnected, right? How they're interconnected. Here I see that this link doesn't connect with anything else, but here they're connecting through the Bitnest proxy. And that's how we start to see those kinds of relationships that let us understand in more depth how everything works. Like here, I don't know why, but it removed all my filters. That's why it disconnected everything. I'll have to do it again. I'll enter the contract. Yeah, it had disconnected. I don't know what happened to Arham. Now it's working. I'm just going to enter the USDC token to understand very clearly what exactly happened. A moment ago, at least you notice that when I only select USDC, it disconnects everything because this is the business proxy. And so it's only connecting here to this cloud through this link. There are hardly any other connections. I'm going to remove this filter and leave only the Tether one to see why. And that's where we understand why USDC has made its way into almost every DEX, trying to control the supply of stablecoins. Remember that USDC belongs to Circle. Look, if I switch to Tether, everything changes. Tether is connected. So the point was to start with Tether, then move on to PancakeSwap. And now, as you can see, the connections between these elements are much more clearly visible and easier to understand. Here is business. Take a look. Here is PancakeSwap. And over here, you can see Tether. And here we can see how they intertwine with the pools, how they interact, but this gives us a visual sense that those most involved with the Bitnest proxy are the decentralized exchanges. And remember, Uniswap is, I believe, the leader of all decentralized exchanges. AW and Compound are also very close by. Let's look here at major players like Uniswap, which shows us that this proxy and the pool being managed by this proxy within PancakeSwap is massive. Look, just yesterday, this had risen to over 20 with a 150% increase in volume. So the movements that happen here, I encourage you to spend about 10 minutes a day for a week or so and see for yourself how this moves so you can see where the real action is in what Bitnest protocol is doing and what it is offering all of us. I don't want to go on any longer. This was the most important thing I had to share with you. See you in the next installment. Have a great day, everyone.